Thank you. You can have them if you want. The question you need to ask yourself is, why should Donald get to stomp around like a giant, while the rest of us try not to get smushed under his big feet? Hillary was just as cute as Donald. Hillary was just as smart as Donald. We should totally just block Donald. Thank you. So their responses to our case have been twofold. Firstly, 21 countries. There have been 21 countries that have decided to work with him. After POI saying 170 haven't congratulated him, one of them in that is Angela Merkel, which is odd, because it's not usually the Germans that are the ones promoting moral standards. I mean, the 21 countries have to work with him because he is in power and they don't have a way to block him. The American people do. That's the simple answer here. You have an ability to obstruct and to deliberate and stop bad policies from occurring. Nowhere else in the world does. Then they get up and they talk about Middle America, the silent white majority, and how they care for rural issues, and Donald Trump spoke for them. Our case is not that Democrats should not be fighting for them. Democrats should be up there like Elizabeth Warren was, like Bernie Sanders was, saying that the case for globalization is one that should be analysed, that these people have been left behind and they haven't been abandoned and they haven't been forgotten about. They should be up there campaigning about rural issues. But you don't do that with compromise. And the reason for that is compromise accepts the racism that was inherent within Donald Trump's campaign. Compromise says that racism is a legitimate technique to use for campaigning, and it says that some of the problems that these people are facing are because of the because of racism. What you have to remember here is that only 26% of people voted for Donald Trump. More rural people didn't vote for Donald Trump than did. And what people need to do is they need to get up there and say, I'm fighting for you, but I can do that without being racist. Show them you can have a voice without racism, and not fighting doesn't give them that option, because it doesn't challenge the very core of the Trump presidency. They then got up and told us that Trump supporters, not all Trump supporters, are sexist or racist. And we're going to agree with that. We don't think they are. But what they did do was they prioritised their own needs over that of a racist bigot. They said that what is my needs, my individual actions, are far more important than any form of racist attacks that could come from this. My partner talked about the massive increase in racist attacks. This was talked about a lot before the election of Donald Trump said that this was a risk. And these people need to know what they did on this front was wrong. So even if everything gets worse, even if there's no change and no halting, the one last thing my partner will use is this idea of signalling. As a young age child in the US or in the UK, growing up is tough. You're much more likely to be bullied, you're much more likely to suffer religious or ritual abuse, you're 300% more likely to suffer self-abuse and 5 times as likely to commit suicide. What makes it worse is you now live in a country which has chosen a vice president that believes he is stopping the homosexual agenda, who diverted funding away from HIV prevention to conversion therapy, and served on a board where homosexuality was defined as a mental illness. This is a thing that says to you as an individual, this is not your country, this is not your state, you are abnormal, you are not welcome here. Jamie then got up and told you that the attacks, the homophobia and racism that occurred after the election of Trump were worse than after 9/11. Imagine you were a person living in that scenario. Your state has just denied who you are, and you are now a victim of far more violence than you ever could have been before. This is terrible. Gay protests save lives, ladies and gentlemen. In the UK, they provided a counterpoint in the 1980s to the homophobia of the Thatcher campaign. They showed that there were people out there who were willing to sacrifice and willing to defend them. And with that, I beg you to oppose this motion.
Warm blanket of thank yous to everyone here, because I am shivering and it is cold. And I'd like to say that because my partner doesn't like when I say that. It sounds like, for the most part, everyone up here and everyone over here pretty much agrees. This could go very badly. In no way does Trump deserve this. In no way does he deserve to be our president. But the fact is that he is. And some people saw enough hope in his politics that it was worth voting for him. That sounds a little ridiculous to some of us. And I hope that it wasn't just racism that got Trump elected. It shows, I hope, that there are Americans who saw that there were problems with our political system in America and wanted to speak about that at the risk of being labeled racist. Or maybe they were the silent Trumpers who didn't even want to be labeled, so they didn't talk about that. A chance is Trump is the president. Trump's presidency is the chance. And it's weird because this resolution is a status quo, sort of. But let's talk about this. If we do not allow Trump the chance to be the president, if we do not allow him the ability to pass any legislation, if we do not work politically for the next 4 years, that is not good for America. It is a lack of open dialogue, which is incredibly important because there are already Americans that we know feel ignored. That's how Trump got elected. It's been suggested that compromise accepts racism. But if we do not work with people, how can we educate people? Wow, I'm a Bible major. Okay. If we refuse to cooperate with people who think racistly, people who think in sexist ways, that can justify them. It can never fix hate if we refuse to work with those people. If we do not allow Trump to be president and work as our president, then we do not allow things to get better over the next 4 years through this presidency. There has been a precedent set through the countries that my partner brought up, through Obama, through Clinton, who have recognized that it is entirely possible to work with Trump, to work with his administration, to work with the people in office right now, and to still try to progress. Yes, Bernie Sanders says it's wrong, and yes, Bernie Sanders is a Disney princess that's been proven, and yes, Bernie Sanders is almost always right, but not in this case. We can work with Trump. Politicians can work with Trump. Other countries can work with Trump. The countries that aren't these 21 countries haven't said we're not working with Trump. These are just 21 significant countries that had already spoken against Trump and now have said, but we will work with him for the betterment of America and for the betterment of the world. So what we should do is that we should work with the situation that we put ourselves in. Now I say that as someone that voted for Clinton. We did put ourselves in this situation. Trump won this fair and square as a presidential election can be in America. But we need to work in our system. We do need to protest. That was brought up by us multiple times. We don't let Trump steamroll us. We don't let Trump do whatever he wants. We continue to make our voices heard. We continue to work for our rights. We continue to work for the rights of others. We don't let him destroy people. Now, that doesn't mean, giving Trump a chance doesn't mean he gets to do everything he wants. It means he works as our president, and until Trump does something wrong, and until Pence does something wrong that destroys the lives of people, we work with him. When something happens that will destroy the lives of people, if the Muslim ban even happens, yes, I will go out there with you and I will protest, and I will talk to Trump as much as possible and say, no, you can't do that. We need to give Trump a chance. The possibility of hatred in a Trump presidency, or the reality of chaos, of ignoring people's voices who voted for Trump, and the possibility of hatred there. Letting Trump be the president is the best situation in this scenario, in this situation. Giving Trump a chance to be president means that we don't block him from being president. We don't block everything he does, but we do promote love. We do fight against hate. Letting Trump be president gives us the best chance to give love a chance.